Alright, Divine Set 14 is here with another new Cater Ride line, this time with the Bel-Fiore, which is Battle Maids, which I find awesome, so let's begin. Here's the starter, Bel-Fiore Proa, which looks like another character from another anime, and you have to run it, because when we go to the grade 1 with 8 key power, Bel-Fiore Chica, which has a skill auto when riding on top of the grade 0 Bel-Fiore Proa, cost, reveal a grade 3 Bel-Fiore from your ride deck, and put a Blood-O-Wee Garden token into your order zone, aka your set order for the deck that is a token, which the second skill is Count Guardian. If your Vanguard is Bel-Fiore, shield plus 5k. Obviously, you must use it for the ride deck, in which we go to the Blood-O-Wee Garden itself, which is a grade 0 token that of course cannot be put in the deck, which has a skill Act Order Zone. Once per turn, cost, rest this card, look at top 7 cards of your deck to choose up to 2 Bel-Fiore from among them and engage them into your garden, and of course shuffle your deck. Engage is basically the same thing as basically scouting, so you just put them to the order zone. Or in a more competitive deck comparison, basically like the Moon Gate with Vezru, in which the second skill is Auto Order Zone at the start of your ride phase. If you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Bel-Fiore, cost, discard a card from hand, and then choose one of your engaged cards with the same card name as your Vanguard and ride as stand, and if you rode, activate Persona Ride, but you cannot ride for the rest of the turn. Basically, the garden calling for your head maid, basically, but the main importance is actually the first skill, because the first skill actually builds up your order zone for you to set up. And then we go to the grade 2 with taking power, Bel-Fiore Movie, which has a skill Count Vanguard. All your rear guards with Bel-Fiore in their name cannot be chosen by your opponent's card ability, which can be pretty nice, but it's more important in the grade 3 turn if anything. But the second skill is Act Vanguard. Once per turn, cost Soul Blast 1. Choose one grade 2 or less rear guard that is engaged and call it to rear guard. So essentially it's a ride line that gives you a +1. Got it. Although, spoiler alert, a lot of them are going to have some opponent abilities during your opponent's turn, so they might actually be pretty good. In which now we go to the grade 3 with taking power, the head maid Bel-Fiore Maya, which has a skill Auto Vanguard. All your rear guards with Bel-Fiore in their name cannot be chosen by your opponent's card abilities, and during your turn, all your front row units with Bel-Fiore gets +5 key power. Pretty nice protection already. The head maid protecting her servant maids, in which the second skill is Act Vanguard. Once per turn, cost counterblast 1. Choose a number of engaged cards with different names up to your opponent's Vanguard's grade and call them to rear guard, and you Persona Ride during the turn, crit +1 in turn. Already, it feels like a mixture between Veleno and Direful Dolls. Veleno's giving power to all the rear guards, and also with the crit +1, while the Direful Doll side, Mass Superior Calling. And speaking of Direful Dolls, the last skill, Auto Vanguard. Once per turn, when this card is attacked, cost Soul Blast 1. Choose any number of rear guards that is Bel-Fiore and move them to Guardian, which is actually also pretty nice, because similar to Direful Doll, you can also do some sort of superior guarding, except that this is once per turn. Overall, while it's decent on its own, everything really revolves around its support, because on its own, it doesn't really do much. It's basically like the head maid supporting the servants, in which we go to the support with Bel-Fiore Shion, which is a grade 1 with power in the skills Auto Rearguard. When your unit with Bel-Fiore in the same column as the unit stand, you can Soul Blast 1 to stand this unit, which definitely means that we're going to have a restanding rearguard, because the Vanguard doesn't restand. With the second skill work, Count Guardian. If your Vanguard is Bel-Fiore, shield plus 5k. And this is what I mean where you might want to do some superior guarding, because stuff like this is going to be in the back row, and thus you get some extra abilities by using this to guard. But regardless, you have to run this just for the name, and also it is a decent combo with another card. And then we go to Bel-Fiore Noise, which is a grade 1 with power and the skills Auto. When placed on rearguard, choose up to 2 Bel-Fiore with different names from your drop zone from this unit and engage them. So essentially recycling 2 Bel-Fiore, which makes this card pretty much an instant 4-up because it's pretty much needed. In which the second skill is pretty much an added bonus, but it is very helpful, where Auto Rearguard, when this card boosts at least a grade 3 Bel-Fiore, this unit gets +2k power in a battle, so it becomes a 10k booster, which is useful with your Vanguard or another grade 3, but mainly for the recycling. And then we go to Bel-Fiore Penance, which is grade 2 with 10k power in the skills Auto. When placed on rearguard by card ability, usually through your Vanguard skill, if you have a Bel-Fiore Vanguard, this unit gets the boost ability, and choose one of your opponent's rearguards, it gets shield -5k into the end turn. Kinda nice that you can even use this on your grade 2 turn, but more relevant on the grade 3 turn, in which the second skill is Auto. When placed on Guardian, if your Vanguard is Bel-Fiore, choose one of your opponent's units and it gets -5k pounding in a turn, which could actually be very useful, especially when you're playing this as the first guard, because on restanding rear guards, it could be pretty nasty with power differences. And it's one of the better cards to run, so go ahead and run it. In which we go to a questionable card, Bel-Fiore Aprina, which is grade 1 with power in the skills Auto Order Zone. When your opponent plays an order, cost bind this card to draw a card, but you cannot play this skill for the rest of the turn. And yes, it does count towards normal, blitz, or set orders. But essentially, this card really just depends on the matchup, because some decks don't even play orders at all. In which the second skill where Count Rearguard, if your opponent played an order during the turn, and this unit was placed by card ability during this turn, plus 10k power, aka if your opponent played a blitz order while this card's on rearguard. Yeah, very questionable card to run, but then it is one of those cards that you can leave in the order zone, and hopefully your opponent does something so you can counter back your opponent in a way, kinda. Just a weird card for you to run. And then we go to Bel-Fiore Miku, which is a grade 3 with 13 power and skills auto when placed on rearguard by card ability, aka through your Vanguard skill. If your Vanguard is Bel-Fiore, choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards, and then until the end of the next turn, this card gets power and shield equal to that chosen unit. And then your opponent chooses all that chosen rearguard to the bottom of the deck. So essentially it's a bot deck removal, but also takes a shield power, but most of the time in D series it's gonna be 5k. But considering that it's one of your better mates to run, you're probably gonna have to run this. In which finally we go to Bel-Fiore Sierra, which is grade 2 with taking power and the skills auto when placed on rearguard or guardian. If your Vanguard is Bel-Fiore, cost counterblast 1, look at top 2 cards of your deck to choose up to one of them to put to hand. You don't reveal this, and then put the other one to the bottom deck or soul. And if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3, shield plus 5k along with power plus 5k. I love that you can use this card in either player's turn to get you a search basically, and it could be either big beater or a shield, which it could actually be both. In which the second skill is count rearguard during turn. If your Vanguard is a Bel-Fiore, power plus 5,000, so meaning that it could be a 20k attacker on its own. With the third skill where auto rearguard once per turn, when your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Bel-Fiore and it attacks, cost energy plus 3, stand this unit, and then choose one of your Bel-Fiore units in the drop zone and engage it to your guardian, which just makes this card an auto 4-up because not only it lets you search from the top 2 and not even reveal it, it's also a big beat stick and also a big defensive card, while also being letting you to recycle plus a restand and potentially 5 attacks in one turn, which also combos with your grade 1 that also restands as a booster. And so far, since this is the only card that uses energy, you're going to be wasting all your energy on this. So this is an auto 4-up in the deck. And then next week we got the Xerath Phantom Ride line, which I've been looking forward to, but definitely a lot of cards because it's 15. So I expect an order heavy deck. And so that's it for our new Battle Maid ride line, that being Bel-Fiore. What do you guys think of it? I really love their design. It just looks pretty awesome. Although, the deck itself is just okay. Of course, it's not going to be meta relevant, considering that this is definitely going to be one of those budget decks in the set. But I do kind of love that it's a mixture of multiple past decks that are usually budget all together as one. A bit of Direful Doll when it comes to the superior calling, a bit of B-Heroes because of the scouting reasons. There's also a bit of Veleno because power up your whole archetype. And I really just love the aesthetic because it's rare to see decks like this, especially battle maids. But other than that, there's really not much to say here, but I do hope for more support in the future. But other than that, that's it for this, and see you all next time.